You finally deliver the work. Everyone seems impressed. Someone even says, honestly, you nailed that. But instead of feeling relieved, your brain quietly whispers, yeah, but they didn't see how close I was to messing it all up. So you work harder, over-prepare more, double-check everything. Not because you're lazy or incapable, but because part of you is terrified you've somehow fooled everyone. But why does your brain do that even when the evidence says otherwise? If that feeling sounds familiar, you're far from the only person experiencing it. A surprising number of highly competent people secretly walk around feeling like they're behind, faking it, or one mistake away from being exposed. And the important thing is this: it doesn't mean you're actually incompetent. In many cases, your brain is reacting to pressure, self-awareness, and uncertainty in a very predictable psychological way. Once you understand the pattern underneath it, the feeling starts making a lot more sense and a lot less power over you. In this video, we're going to break down 6 psychological reasons competent people still feel like frauds, what each one reveals about the way your mind works, and why the people who doubt themselves the most are often the ones trying the hardest to get things right. And by the end, you'll see why confidence and competence are not actually the same thing, even though your brain keeps treating them like they are. Quick pause. If you've ever felt like you tricked people into thinking you're smarter than you are, comment the word exposed below. 1. The invisible effort problem. One reason competent people feel like frauds is because they can see all the messy work happening inside their own head. You see the confusion, the uncertainty, the drafts you deleted, the moments you hesitated, but everyone else only sees the final result. It's like watching a magician backstage while the audience only sees the trick. Because you witness the chaos behind the curtain, the success feels less impressive to you. So when someone praises your work, your brain discounts it. You think, yeah, but if they saw how unsure I was while doing it, they wouldn't be impressed. And that creates a strange distortion. You measure yourself by your internal struggle while measuring everyone else by their polished output. And once your brain starts doing that, it naturally leads to something even deeper. 2. Competence actually increases self-awareness. Here's where it gets interesting. The more you learn, the more aware you become of what you don't know. People who lack skill often overestimate themselves because they don't see the gaps. But competent people notice complexity everywhere. Your brain starts spotting nuances, risks, and possibilities most people miss. A beginner playing piano might think, I'm pretty good. An experienced pianist hears every tiny mistake, every missed timing, every imperfect note. So paradoxically, growth can make you feel less capable not because you're getting worse, but because your perception got sharper. And that constant awareness can quietly convince you that everyone else has things figured out more than you do. But this is only half the picture because there's another layer underneath this that most people never notice. 3. Your brain treats success like luck, but failure like proof. A lot of people with imposter feelings have a strange mental double standard. When something goes well, your brain says, that was luck. They were just being nice. The task wasn't that hard. But when something goes badly, suddenly it becomes permanent evidence about who you are. One awkward presentation feels more emotionally real than 10 successful ones. Your brain sticks to mistakes like Velcro and lets achievements slide off like Teflon. So why does your brain do this? Because your mind is trying to protect you from future embarrassment. If it assumes success was accidental, it pushes you to keep over-preparing so you never get found out. The problem is that eventually your self-worth becomes like a house with no foundation, no complement can stay attached long enough to support it. And that fear of being exposed creates another behavior that looks productive on the surface. 4. Overworking becomes emotional armor. Many competent people don't work hard purely for achievement. They work hard because effort feels safer than vulnerability. If you answer emails instantly, triple-check every detail, and prepare excessively, your brain feels protected. It tells you, as long as I work harder than everyone else, nobody will notice I'm secretly not enough. The overworking becomes emotional armor. Imagine carrying a backpack full of rocks every day because you're scared someone might accuse you of not carrying your weight. Eventually, the backpack itself becomes proof that you're struggling. And the cruel irony is this: People around you often interpret your overpreparation as evidence that you're highly competent, while internally, you think it's compensating for incompetence. But the roots of this pattern often go back much earlier than your career or achievements. 5. You learned that worth had to be earned. For a lot of people, imposter feelings begin long before adulthood. Maybe you were praised mainly for achievement. Maybe mistakes felt emotionally expensive. Maybe being the smart one, the responsible one, or the high performer became part of your identity very early. When that happens, your brain stops seeing competence as something you have and starts seeing it as something you must constantly prove. And here's the exhausting part. Proof never lasts. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how many achievements you pour in, the reassurance leaks out almost immediately, and your brain demands fresh evidence again. So instead of enjoying success, you live in maintenance mode, constantly trying not to lose your value. And all of this leads to the final piece, the thing most people misunderstand completely about confidence. 6. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. Most people assume confident people feel certain all the time. But psychologically, confidence is usually something much quieter than that. Real confidence often sounds like, I might not know everything, but I can probably figure it out. Competent people frequently mistake uncertainty for inadequacy. But uncertainty is actually a sign that your brain understands complexity. It means you're engaged with reality instead of pretending to know everything. And honestly, some of the most capable people in the world still feel doubt regularly. The difference is that they stop treating doubt as evidence that they're frauds, because doubt is a feeling, not a diagnosis. So think back to that moment from the beginning, finishing something successfully, hearing praise, and instantly feeling like you somehow fooled everyone. What this video hopefully showed you is that the feeling of being a fraud is often not proof that you're incapable. In fact, sometimes it's the exact opposite. It can come from awareness, pressure, responsibility, perfectionism, and caring deeply about doing things well. Your brain has been interpreting self-doubt as danger when, really, in many cases, it's just evidence that you're human and paying attention. And once you stop expecting competence to feel confident all the time, something shifts. You realize you don't need to eliminate every ounce of uncertainty before believing in yourself. You don't need to become fearless to become capable. You were never secretly failing at being competent. You were just assuming competent people never feel unsure when many of them do. And that changes the story completely. If this video helped you understand yourself a little more clearly, like and subscribe to Brain Simplified, because every week we break down the hidden psychology behind thoughts and behaviors you've probably experienced your entire life without fully understanding.